Yahweh had been their king all that time. They pretty much said, I hate you. I don't want you to be sovereign over me anymore. We want a king who we can look, touch, feel, smell, who can stand over us and we can say, see, we are like the other peoples of the nation. That was the whole thing. They weren't supposed to be like the other peoples of our nations. We are supposed to be set apart to Yahweh. We're not supposed to be like other people. We're not supposed to be able to say, oh yes, well, we do all of the, trying to find a good example. We're not supposed to look like all of the other nations. We're supposed to look different. We're supposed to walk different. We're supposed to act different. Our talk is supposed to be different. When we do walk in a room, people are supposed to notice something is different about you. You are not like the regular little status of people or the little whoever I see in these in whatever church, so and so, so and so. We are supposed to be set apart and different. So they said, give us a king to rule over us in Samuel 8, and then it said this was evil in the sight of Samuel. Samuel was old, up in age. He knew that his time was just about up. And he said, my goodness, have these people not learned anything all this time? Samuel was raised in the house of the Levites. He was raised there. From a child, his mother gave him over to the house, to the Levites, to be raised. So now he is old. Can you imagine Samuel? What he's thinking? He says, goodness gracious, have you not gotten it yet? That Yahweh is your sovereign? And then Yahweh says to Samuel is so grieved in his heart. And Yahweh goes and he heals the heart and tries to soothe the heart of Samuel. But Samuel is hurt from this. He's like, you're asking for a sovereign when Yahweh is our sovereign? And Yahweh said to Samuel, listen to them. For they have not rejected you, Samuel, but they've rejected me as sovereign over them. So Yeshua is remezing back to that when he says, we do not wish this one to reign over us. In Luke 19 and 12 and 13, 19, he's saying, they were evil in the sight of the master, in the sight of the noble master. He was their master. They said, we don't want you to reign over us. He's evil. We don't want him reigning over us. We don't wish you to reign over us anymore. And so the master goes away, and the master is still good to them. And as the master goes away, he hands each one of them, the scripture says, a mina. And he hands them that one mina, and he says, now, what I want you to do is go and trade. Trade, what does it say? Trade until I come. Now, what are they trading? What are they doing? What do you do when you trade? Come on, throw something out.
Exchange goods.
Yeah, exchange goods, bargain, hunt, barter, invest.
For return.
To get a return. So the master nobleman says, trade until I come. And that word trade, what was used in the Greek there in the Septuagint, is pragmatio ahi, which means to carry on the business of a banker or a trader. So the 10 talents were given to the 10 servants. Interesting that he uses the number 10. And the number 10 was also the 10 lost tribes, the 10 tribes that went to the north and said, we will no longer have Yahweh as sovereign over us. We're not going to go down to Jerusalem for feast days, and we're just not going to be taxed by y'all. We're separating ourselves. So that's why Yeshua uses this parable. Because he says, I was sent to who? the lost sheep of the house of Israel. There you go. That's who Yeshua said he came for. So, the first, he comes, the nobleman gives this to them, and trusts them with this 1 mina. Something very small. If you'll be faithful over a few things, I'll make you rule over many. So the 10 talents were given to the 10 servants. The first servant, when he comes back, when the nobleman comes back, he says, I have increased your total now. I have 10 mina for you. The father's like, whoa, good, nobleman, very good. You're a good servant. So you know what? You get placed over 9 cities. Cities, listen to me. Providence, cities, land, what we receive. That's why we know he's talking about the 10 lost tribes of Israel. And then another one comes and is increased his by 5. And Father Yahweh gives him an additional 5. He says, you'll be over 5 cities. And then the last one says, nobleman, I know that you are a hard man, taking up what you did not lay down and reaping what you didn't sow. So I knew you was a hard man, so I didn't do nothing with this. I just wrapped it up in this little handkerchief. I said I was going to give you your stuff when you got back here, because I was not playing with that. Because I know that you're a hard man, and you do things that I didn't want to get caught up with you there. So he says, Yeshua comes and calls on you wicked and evil servant. I gave it to you, and I gave you specific instructions to trade until I come. Y'all, that's what we're supposed to be doing. We are supposed to be increasing and multiplying. We are supposed to be a light to people. People are supposed to see us and say, I want to come to Sabbath with you. Or, what's your website? Let me check out your website. People are being blessed all over the place by us, by other congregations, by other people who are walking according to the word of Yahweh, being blessed and saying, I need to find out what it is I need to do, because it's got to be more than me just doing what I'm doing. So that's the increase. But look at this story. Yahweh is a husbandman, because I got stuck right there reading that. You take up what you did not lay down, and you reap what you did not sow. And he said, yes, I am a hard man. And then he agreed. And I said, I wonder why he agreed to that. But remember that Yahweh is a husbandman, and that he planted in the earth. But the enemy came and planted within the earth also. So Yahweh will reap. I don't care who plants in the earth. Yahweh said he's going to reap. And whatever he reaps what he didn't sow. And he plucks up what he did not put down. And that is what he's saying here. In Matthew 13 and 25, he says, but while men slept, his enemy came and sowed darnel among the wheat and then went away. And then in 30 it says, let both grow together. Because let me explain something to you. I don't care. The earth is Yahweh's and the fullness thereof. It belongs still to Yahweh. Period. The enemy came and sowed into his darnel seed, that black seed, that thing that looks like wheat, into the earth, along with those that belong to Yahweh. That's why I keep saying, you're either Yahweh's or you're not. You're either wheat or you're tare, darnel. You're his or you're not. Either you're clean or you're unclean. There's no in between. And then he says, let both grow together until the harvest. And at the time of the harvest, because who is the husbandman? Yahweh is the husbandman. Hallelujah. At the time of the harvest, I shall say to the reapers, first gather the darnel, bind them in bundles to burn them, but gather the wheat and put it into my grounding. That's awesome. That's why he says, I am a hard man. I reap what I did not sow. I'm reaping it. Period. I'm going to pull it up out the ground. Because this earth is mine and it belongs to me. You sowed your little seed into it. But guess what? They're going to get reaped right along with all the other harvests, and they're going to get burned. So Yeshua goes on to say in Luke 19:26, for I say to you, that to everyone who possesses shall be given. Because then the one who had the 1 mina, who decided not to trade, because he was the nobleman was a hard man, and had reaped where he had not sown, had plucked up where he had not laid down, he took his mina and he gave it to the one with the most. And people said, but he gave to the one who was most, he already had 10 mina. But Yeshua went on to say, for I say to you, that to everyone who possesses shall be given. And from him who does not possess, we have to bear fruit, y'all. Even what he possesses shall be taken away from him. There was something that we used to say back in the old church, that your gifts, if you didn't use your gifts, that God would take those gifts and give them to someone else. So we were always trying to exhibit those gifts, give those gifts, use whether it was music, whether it was singing, whatever it was, dramatization, whatever it was that the gift was that Father had given us, we were always diligent in trying to explain and do those gifts. Because it says that from him who does not possess, for him who does not increase and multiply, shall be, his possessions shall be taken away from him. What has always been Israel's possession? Always. The land. That's been their possession. That's our possession. The land. That's why in the parable, the good servants were given cities. Land. To give you great and good cities, which you did not build. Houses filled with all kinds of goods that you did not build. Wells dug you didn't dig. Vineyards and olive trees that you didn't plant. And you shall eat and be satisfied. We've got to increase. But we've got to first do what? We got to believe that Yahweh is able and capable to be our King and our provider. We've got to be obedient to his word and walk out according to his word as he wants us to walk it out, not as we feel we should walk it out. I hate to hear people, I feel. Nobody cares what you feel. Yahweh says he wants you to walk it out this way. Do it the way he says do it. We don't get to do that. We don't get to do that in our parents' house. Which one of your children will come to you and say, look, I don't feel like I need to make up my bed every day. Wait a minute. Okay, then you don't feel like having a bed. Guess what? You get to sleep on the floor. So we don't have the problem with you not making up your bed. Is that okay? Is that good for you? We don't get to pick and choose how Yahweh wants us to walk this walk. He makes the rules, we get to keep them. Then we're blessed. Then we receive the covenant blessings of Abraham. Then we receive the blessings of Deuteronomy 28. And we can live from verse 1 through 14. But if we are disobedient, that's the third thing. If we are disobedient, then we get to live in Deuteronomy 28, 15 on down to the end of the chapter. We get to be cursed because we chose it. But how long will we ask for a sovereign, another sovereign over us? You know, we have to be careful. We have to be careful even with women looking for a husband. We have to be careful in saying, I want to select. I want somebody who, I want this, what about what Yahweh wants for you? And sometimes we will pass up the man that Yahweh has for us and go to something because it's pleasing in our sight. Isn't that what Hava did in the garden? She went according to her eyes. What she saw was good for fruit. What she saw. Many times we get caught up in wrong jobs. Husbands, men do the same thing. They get caught up in women. Women looking for all kinds of things. Yeah, she got to be light-skinned, long hair. Yeah, I want to be a size 2. She ain't going to stay a size 2 forever. After she start having babies, you know what? Guess what? She might go up to about 14. You love her. You'll be right there with her. But those are things that we see that we have to learn to start asking Father Yahweh rightly. Father, what is it you have for me?